I'm just randomly sitting here right now recording this video. I don't know for who. Maybe at least one person be benefited from this video. That's well and good. I'm not presentable. Please bear with me. Just a pun. I didn't plan to record this video. It's been so long that I posted a video on this channel. Today I have no plan of recording, but something pushed me to speak about my English journey, and I believe if you are seeking for some motivation, this would definitely help you. I studied in a Tamil medium, first and second standard in a government school, third, fourth, fifth in a private school, but government aided school, and it is also a Tamil medium. Sixth and seventh, another school, and eighth to 12th, another government school. Why these many schools I transferred? Because of my mom's job, and she is a teacher. Currently, she is headmistress. So she got transferred, so we had to go with her. So that's why these many schools. So by the way, I studied in Aviyar Government Girls Higher Secondary School, which is in Pavachitram, Tenkasi district, and it is in Tamil Nadu. If you're from Tenkasi district and you studied in Aviyar Government Girls Higher Secondary School, leave a comment below. I really want to know if you're just watching me from that area. So when exactly this English learning journey started? I have some vague memory about the English learning and some vivid memories because of the teachers I had. I remember me literally learning English in my third standard, but I'm sure that we learned English in first and second standard, but I had no memory of that. So exactly in sixth grade, I was so motivated. I was so encouraged by my class teacher, and his name was Mr. Kannan. I don't know where he lives now because in those days we didn't have mobile phone, so I don't have his contact number. But not recently, 2019, I met him in my village where he came to meet his friend. He got transferred to another school. Now, I don't have touch with him, but I really admire his teaching. I have a fresh memory of the class, the structure, the beams of the class. The reason is he was an enthusiastic teacher. Once he danced for an MGR song in the class. I remember him asking us questions, and he made us to practice translating sentences from English to Tamil and Tamil to English. There would be competition between the groups. So we would divide the groups, and one group would say one sentence, and we have to write or translate a sentence, and we have to write it on the board. That was a game we used to play all the time. I still remember by the time I finished my sixth grade, I was able to do the practices of English chapter from ninth standard. So that's how he taught us the English subject, and I am so grateful for him. I studied sixth and seventh standard in Male Power School. If you're from Male Power School, leave a comment below. When I was studying, it was high school. Now it has become higher secondary, and it is in Tenkasi district. Then my parents changed my school. It is Pavachitram Aviyar Government Higher Secondary School. By the time when I was in eighth grade, I was able to frame sentences easily. When I came to ninth standard, I would just listen the lesson, and I would write by my own. I would read the poem or story, whatever it is. I will memorize the author's name. That's it. The concept, the words usage, I would use it. But it was so simple. When I just turn back and see how was my English writing, I remember that it was so simple that anybody can understand. So then in my 10th grade, I got my favorite English teacher, Christopher Mary teacher. Ma'am, if you're watching that, I am really grateful for you for taking me English subject in my 10th grade. And I scored well in public exam. Then I finished my 12th standard. Then I got into college. In first year, we have bridge course. There, every department students will be there in one class, and the introduction class for all the subjects will be there. And I remember one time in that bridge course, my English teacher came and she gave a topic for us in the first English class. And I didn't know that it was a test for how we perform. Usually, what I would do is when I'm asked to write an essay, first, 2 to 5 minutes, I would just make a rough copy in my mind. What should be the introduction? What should I write in the body of the essay and the conclusion, how it should be? And I wrote it by my own words. Then in the next English class, she came and she started to call name by looking at the paper that we gave. When she was calling one by one, then I realized that she was calling matriculation students. Then I realized that test was for testing how our English is. And I was praying God so earnestly that God, she should not call me in front of the class because she was calling the students and she was asking them to introduce them, like saying their name, father's name, mother's name, where did they study, what is their goal, and everything. At that time, I was not good at speaking. I was praying and praying. By the time came, she called me, and I slowly stood up. I went to her, and I told her in her ears that I'm not good at English speaking. I'm good at English writing, but I'm not good at English speaking in Tamil. Then she realized that, okay, I'm from Tamil medium, and then she said, okay, it's okay, you can go and sit. So that was, kind of embarrassing moment for me. I was so shy, so timid. I had my inferiority complex because I was Tamil medium and there were so many English medium students in the college. So it was kind of an embarrassing moment. But in our college, there were so many seminars, so many motivational programs were conducted to improve our English speaking, and we were encouraged to speak with our friends and the lecturers in English. I really wanted to speak, but I didn't. The reason is shyness. But I was secretly practicing at home. Not secretly, my family members knew that. My mom knows that very well. I used to turn up the volume of the TV up to the maximum. I would play English programs on TV and I would watch, and also I would repeat the dialogues after the speakers. That was my routine when I come home from hostel. But I never dared to open my mouth to speak in English in college. That was me in college. Then I finished my college. But the fire in my heart to speak in English, it was always there. I would imagine myself speaking in English fluently in front of somebody, and I would imagine some scenarios, and I would ask question and reply the question when I practice secretly. But coming to the real conversation, I never made it. So after I joined my job, I struggled a lot to speak in English. I thought of quitting in the middle in the first year or so because I had to speak in English because I joined as a teacher in Bihar state. So the only communication language that is common for both me and my students was English. It is English. So I had to speak. So I remember me practicing hours and hours, sitting at night up to like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, writing each and every sentences that I have to say in the class, memorizing it, how to command the students to do some work, how to encourage them. I would write sentences, I would memorize it, and I would just say it. But I didn't have this accent at that time. But I always practice this accent when I practice in secret. When coming to the real conversation, I would switch into Indian accent. I'm not saying that I'm very good at this accent. I still incorporate some Indian accent in it, and I should have it because that's my identity. So one day, this happened. One of my friends, very good friends, her name is Jovita. One day it was raining outside. I was in a great mood. I was reading a story in this accent and I got so enthusiastic. And I went to her room and I told her, do you know that I can read in another accent. And she said, okay, read it for me. Let me hear it. And I read the story in this accent, and she said, wow, this sounds so beautiful. You should speak in this accent. So that was a spark. And I really wanted to speak in this accent. So I tried so hard. I incorporate the small pronunciations here and there in my conversation when I spoke, but still I was not satisfied with the result. But after my marriage, my husband didn't know that I speak like this. So one day I was just speaking with him in this accent, and he really loved it. And he often asks me to speak in this accent, and without even blinking the eyes, he would just watch me speaking this accent. He loved it, and then he encouraged me to speak in this accent in homes so that I can fluently speak with others when I go out. I just followed it for 1 week. That's it. And I started to speak. It came naturally. I didn't even try to speak in this accent when I went to school. That's the time I realized that practicing grammar, practicing sentence formation is one part. Speaking is the main thing if you want to speak English. You have to start to speak, not only imagining yourself like speaking in English, not only practicing so many exercises in the book. You had to start to speak with people, with real people. If you're watching this, I just want to say you something. Studying in Tamil medium is not a stumbling block. You are the stumbling block. If you change your mind that you can achieve something, surely you will achieve that thing. If you really want to speak in English, try hard. If it isn't working, try harder. Surely you will attain your goal. The old Sharmi, I remember, was so timid, was full of inferiority complex, was not confident enough, was afraid of people, was afraid of judgment, was afraid of criticism. But when I decided that this is what I want, everything that I had, the bad opinion about myself, it just boom, vanished. So at this moment, I encourage you to practice more speaking English. Speak, surely you will attain your goal. Thanks for listening to my ranting in the middle of the night. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you get something out of it. And if possible, we will see in next video.